Morning. welcome to Sunday service. Welcome to Grace. It's a blessing to see you all this morning. And something is going on out there in the public sphere, in political landscape of United States. People are declaring that I'm going to run for president, things like that. And it's what I found interesting here is that in Korea, where I came from, we look like maybe 4 maximum, 5 maximum, from one party running for the president. And I came to think, how many? I was counting, and I heard somebody saying, so who is not running for president? Everybody is running for president, okay? It's pretty fascinating to see. It's almost everybody is declaring to run for president. But I mean, it's he or she can declare, I'm going to run for the president, and that's their business. But I got pretty exhausted. What they say and hear their goals and visions and things like that. But at the end of the day, I was thinking, what matters to me, to people in the United States, is this person, he or she is authentic. Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, the thing is, you got, I'm just not even 40, but I got pretty exhausted. Listening to those people saying I'm going to do this and do that, and it's just let us sit down and let us be authentic, be shy. And I think that's what works for every human relationships, right? If you're gonna bring something to the table, you gotta be authentic, right? I think that's what God desires, what our Father desires today, this time. When you come to worship, it's okay that you make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but God is saying it's okay. Just come as you are, as much as you can be authentic. Then I'm gonna accept you, embrace you, and welcome you. So today's text is the parable of the prodigal son. And what captures our mind most is what we envision when we hear that story is this God, the Father, embracing this, son, because he came and said, Father, I'm not worthy to be called your son. He was being authentic, right? So this time, as we come to the worship, let us be authentic, and our Father will accept us as we are. Amen. So today's scripture comes from Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verse 1 through 3, and 11 through 32. Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him, and the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in desolate living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands. So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his slaves, Quickly, bring out a loaf, the best one, and put it on him, put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his elder son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has gotten back safe and sound. Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, Listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, and who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him. And the father said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we have to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found. Amen. Let's pray. Father, we come before you as we are. We are lost, but we want to be found. And we are feel your loving embrace. So I pray, may the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your eyes, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. When I started going to college, I was excited. You know, I grew up in countryside, helping my parents working in the field and cleaning the pig farm and cow farm from time to time. And that was my middle school years, right? That was my middle school years, cleaning the farms. And during my high school years, I was, pretty much locked up in school, not only inside the classrooms, but also in dormitory. Then college happened. With newfound freedom, I explored Seoul, a great city, the capital of South Korea. I explored meetings, classes, and friends. Everything was good. So during that time, in my first semester, I stayed in my aunt's house, which took me an hour and a half to commute. But I was still glad. I was going to college. First 3 weeks passed, and one Sunday afternoon, my aunt told me, Hey, you should call your parents, especially your mom is wondering how you are doing. So I called. My younger brother picked up the phone. We chatted a little bit, it's like catching up. What has been going on? Then he says, Brother, mom wants to speak with you. I said, okay. And as soon as I heard boys saying, son, or it's like sweetie, right? I said rather bluntly, Mom, what's the matter? As if I dismissed her. Then there was silence, a dead silence. And there followed the sound of what? Tears, weeping. Then my brother picked up the phone and said, how could you do this to her? She's crying. And I stood there stunned and regretting my careless words. And I told her later, it's like, sorry. But it got me, thinking why I did what I did. I know why I did it. Not because she didn't care about me or didn't love me, but because I knew she would love me anyway. That's why I took it for granted. I felt somehow I could take advantage of it to the point where I could completely dismiss her. You may think I was an idiot. Yes, I was. I was an idiot. It was not long after I realized that it was her prayer and abundant love that sustained me all my life. I finally understood it, felt in my heart when I was doing my military service. When I was not able to see her, I realized how precious her love was for me. When I had tough trainings, I wrote in my journal, it's like, I want to see her. I want to say to her, I'm sorry, I love you, I love you. The letters my mom and I were sending back and forth in those early days, they were like love letters. Saying how much we miss and we're eager to see each other. And the time passed as we got to see each other more open. Things got cooled down, especially these days. When I call her, it's like once a week, regular call, and she says, "Son, hang up. I gotta work." I said, "Mom, come on." If you have experience similar to this, or to any facet of the story I shared, meaning you used to have something in abundance or someone, and you suddenly lost it, then you may understand the parallel of the prodigal son better. We'll be talking about today. Since it is the most famous parable in the Bible, and you may have heard this parable or heard about this parable like gajillion times already. So after briefly summarizing what happens in the story, I'll rather ask some questions you may have as well. So the father has two sons. One day, the younger one asked his father to give his inheritance. And we don't know how much. It's definitely not the half of the possession, because he's not the firstborn who would, inherit the most of his father's possession. And the father gives and son takes off. He goes to a distant country, squanders everything, becomes poor, hungry, and desperate. Finally, he returns home to his father. He repents his sin, his past choices, and says, "I'm not worthy to be called your son." But the father not only accepts him and rejoices, but also throws a banquet for him by killing a fatted calf. The story ends with a scene where the father asks his older son, who is angry with his father, who has done nothing like it for him. And after hearing this story, you may ask, so the other question, I have three questions. The first one is this: why did the father give the younger one the money in the first place? Right? It is quite clear the father probably knew what the younger one would do if he got the money. He's not married, right? He's not married, so maybe he was in his late teens or early 20s. So what do young guys do with huge chunk of money they didn't earn? They waste, right? They waste it. They spend it all. That's what they do. So why did the father give the younger one the money in the first place? The second question is this. Isn't the father more prodigal than his son? It is often called the parable of the prodigal son, right? But if you really think about it, the story is not about the son. It is not really about the son, but it is about the father. The story begins with what? There was a man who had two sons. Right? That's how this story starts. And it ends with a father speaking to his older son. So it's really about the father. And if you think about it, it's really bad choice for him to give away huge money to his second son who would waste it all. I think the father is more prodigal than his younger one. Maybe the son learned it from his father. He just did it all, so he is also giving it all. Third question may sound more legitimate. Is the father being fair to his older son? Right? Is the father being fair to his older son? He's been working all those years like what? Like a slave, right? So his father gave him what? Nothing. Not even a goat to celebrate with his friends. But for this younger one, he killed a fatted calf after younger one squandering all the money. So is it really the son behaving badly or the father? And those are the questions. And I don't want to give you answers for them. Rather, I want them to sink in your head and to think about why God, the Father, God acts and reacts such a way that surprises us. Why God allows us to go our own way. Why God has given us free will to do whatever we want. With that in mind, let me share with you some lessons. I have 3 lessons. First, we are capable of creating a mess out of abundance. Right? We are so capable of creating a mess out of abundance. When we think of younger son, we think he's stupid, he's immature. I'll never be like him. If you think so, just like him, however, when we have something abundant, what do? We waste it. When we have so much time, what do? We waste it. When somebody loves us, what do? We take it for granted. Just like me. I'm not the only one, right? Just think of what we do with our environment, with our planet, or technology. You know what we do? We either destroy it or become enslaved to it. When God blesses us so much, we become so far from it. Second, the sense of loss brings us back home. The sense of loss brings us back home. At the pig farm, being hungry and hitting the bottom, the rock bottom, the son finally realized that he has to return home to his father. It may sound idiotic that he didn't know what was really important for him when he actually had it, but that's what we humans do. Like I felt a deep sense of loss when I was away from my mother. The loss brings us home where true love is, where our Father is. How many times have you seen people coming back to faith, coming back to the church when they lost their job, when they lost their health and relationships? Many people. Many people. And don't think that you are alone in this, because you know what the nation of Israel was saying? They finally found God when they lost their country. That's the story of the Old Testament. When they lost their nation, their country, and they found their God. Last but most important is this. At the end of the day, we find grace that sustained us all those years. At the end of the day, we find grace that sustained us all those years. The remarkable thing about this parable is that it's physically at the center of Luke's gospel. Back in the days, people didn't have codex. What is codex? Codex is a book, right? Back in the days, people didn't have codex, a book. They had what? Scrolls, right? So imagine a scroll, this, and you open up, what do you see? At your first glance, what's in the middle? So this parable is at the center of Luke's gospel. So it is a statement to all who read the gospel. It doesn't matter how far off, how long ago you left. Grace is still there. So my friends, the lesson for today, what sums up today's story is this. We turn abundance to a mess and a loss, and God turns our mess and loss to grace and blessings. There is no great sin that God cannot forgive, no mistake God cannot fix, and no return God will not celebrate. So when things get rough, when abundance turns to a mess and to a loss, and we feel even hitting the bottom, let us not lose faith, because He will lead us out of a mess to grace, to blessings, and to our true home. Amen. Let's pray.